So how long have you had your e-bike?
A couple of years, 3 years.
Chris has just bought one. And I think he's going to arrive tomorrow.
2964.
And that's just the generic one. So you're going to keep it.
Okay.
But let us know if you change it, so if you look yourself out.
You can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
For some reason, I tried it about a month ago. I lost my car.
Oh, so you want to have you got? Does this? Oh, it's cut off.
There is a cradle you can take with it.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it helps just to catch the.
Yeah, I lifted off.
Oh no.
Do you like sitting in that chair now?
I won't be in this for long. Right.
The dizzy heights of parrots and intoxicating night. Just ask Jenna.
Right. We don't have any members of the public outside?
Not outside, but we do have Len here to speak.
Len wishes to speak, yes. We're just checking no one's outside. So we'll hate to.
Oh, what? Hey, bro.
All good. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, to tonight's inaugural meeting of the Paraparaumu Community Board on the 8th of November at the Council Chambers at 7 p.m. So a warm welcome to everyone. I would like to say welcome to all elected members and to our Mayor, and would like to invite the Mayor to please join us at the table. Sorry, Mayor, would you please join us just at the table?
Okay.
So look, tonight, as everyone's seen in the agenda, there's a number of formalities that we need to get through. We will go through that. So first up is the community board members, including the ward councillors, need to make their declarations of office. So we will go in an order. We'll certainly start. We'll start with the elected members, and we'll finish with our ward councillors. So first of all, I'd like to invite Glenn Olsen. Sorry, I have the orders, and I'd like to invite Glenn Olsen to please do his declaration. If you could please just read it out for me and sign the bottom. Yes, please. If you would stand up, that would be much appreciated.
I, Glenn Paul Olsen, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of Paraparaumu community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Paraparaumu Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. Dated.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call on Mr. Weber, please, to do his declaration.
Thanks, mate. Sure. Good evening, everybody.
Would you like there's two for you, Carl? Which are the one you prefer to read out? It's your choice.
Oh, sure. Thanks, mate. I'm going to do this one. I, Carl Joseph Weber, declare that I will faithfully and impartially and according to the best of my skill and judgment execute and perform in the best interests of the Paraparaumu community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Paraparaumu Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987 and any other act dated at Paraparaumu this 8th day of November 2022. Kia ora.
I'd now like to invite Mr. Randall to the declaration, please.
I, Bernie Randall, declare that I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skills and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Paraparaumu community the powers authorised and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Paraparaumu Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. Thank you.
Thank you. So we would be doing Mr. Burns, but he sends his apologies. He's overseas at the moment, so we'll need to carry that forward to the next meeting. So I'd now like to call on Glenn Cooper to please do your declaration. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I, Glenn Allen Cooper, declare that when I am acting as a community board member, I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interest of the Paraparaumu community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Paraparaumu Community Board by virtue of the Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to please invite Councillor Spears to say and sign her declaration as part of the community.
I, Catherine Ann Spires, declare that when I am acting as a community board member, I will faithfully and impartially, and according to the best of my skill and judgment, execute and perform in the best interests of the Paraparaumu community the powers, authorities and duties vested in or imposed upon me as a member of the Paraparaumu Community Board by virtue of Local Government Act 2002, the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act 1987, or any other act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So moving on to agenda number 2, explanation of legislation for new elected members, page 6 of the agenda. So until such time as we appoint our chair and deputy chair, I will chair the meeting. We'll work through the agenda and the order. So in terms of the report, there's so for our newly elected members of the Paraparaumu Community Board and our councillors, there's legislation that you certainly need to be aware of and you need to abide by in fulfilling your duties as elected members. I will take the report as read. An explanation of the legislation is in the appendices. It is part of my role to support you through that. We also have legal counsel and a legal team that are happy to respond to any questions, any specific questions you may have, but we will support you through that. I certainly don't propose to take you through all the appendices and work through the legislation, so I'm happy to take any questions or queries regarding that paper. If there are none, there certainly is a recommendation for noting. Can I please have a mover? Elected member Bernie Randall. Seconded by elected member Glenn Olsen. All those in favour of the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? There are none. That's carried. Thank you. We're going at an okay pace, team? Right, moving to item number 3, election of Community Board Chair and Deputy Chair for the 2022-25 triennium, page 22 of the agenda. So number 1, so Community Board, I will take this report as read. There are 2 ways in which we can appoint the chair, either using system A or system B. Can I please have a So please open to the table. Is there a consensus on what system you wish to apply?
I think Kathy like B. Kathy?
But I was waiting for a community board member to.
Yeah, I thought B was a good option for us at the meeting.
Yeah, I'll make it a B as well.
B. Is there general consensus to use B?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so could I please have a nomination using the system B for chair?
I'd nominate Glenn Olsen for chair.
Glenn Olsen. So we have so using system B, Mr. Webber has nominated Glenn Olsen. Can I have by show of hands in support? Who's in support of Ms. Olsen? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep.
Ah, sorry. Motion is Glenn Olsen. Can I please have a seconder? Mr. Randall, thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye. All those against? That's carried. Just with the deputy chair, do you take over now, or do we get a deputy chair? Same method.
I'm happy to do either. Yeah, why don't we just continue on? You can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So congratulations, Glenn.
Thank you.
So now we need to appoint a deputy chair. Can I please have a nomination for a deputy chair?
Yeah, I will nominate Carl.
Do I have a seconder for Mr. Webber?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. All those in favour vote aye.
Aye.
All those against? One against? That's carried. Well done. So at that point I will hand over and I'll swap shoes with you.
Okay.
Sorry everyone, we've just got a couple of formalities. Can we just adjourn for literally 2 minutes? I just need to brief our chair on a couple of things that have come to light very recently since the agenda's come out. So just a 2-minute adjournment, please.
I shall move that.
Mover, do I have a seconder? Thank you, thank you, Carl. That's carried.
Sorry.
2-minute adjournment.
So we're going to do the formalities.
Expires and all that.
There's no idea
Yep.
what it's about.
Hey, now I invite next week. All right.
Sorry.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. Commiserations. We're adjourned.
Do you want me to put these in here, Stephanie?
Can do, yeah. Thank you. Where do I find the meeting adjourned?
Oh,
That one I have it down.
so
Not here.
yeah, we don't normally move and second an like a break or an adjournment, but we did, so we'll note it. So you just add in an extra
Motion.
motion. Yeah.
Okay, so I
I
have that
don't
one.
have to move it and second it.
Not for an adjournment,
Oh, okay.
but that's fine.
We did extra.
Who did your hair?
Oh, my hairdresser.
Oh, how long did it take?
Probably about 3 hours.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it's my time to just relax, binge watch some.
Are you having time off between jobs?
About a week
So you can travel into Wellington?
for 3 days. Yeah,
Oh, only 3 days.
yeah, and then 2 at home.
Oh, that's a good job, isn't it? 3 days on, 2 off.
Well, not off. Still working, Kathy. I wish it was
Are you
3 day
working
week.
from
That would
home
be
2
awesome.
days?
Yeah,
Oh, right, gotcha.
yeah.
It's about a bit slow.
No, it's all good. All good.
Yeah, a bit of a try.
So are we getting someone to replace Tanika?
We're on it.
The advertisement is out.
I mean, to replace Tanika, no.
No,
fill
no
the
one
void.
should
To
ever
have
replace
to
him.
have you know,
Oh, Mark, I've
in
already
addition
moved
to
you.
the workforce, yes. Yes.
Okay, Carl.
And then the mayor left out.
Do we need to note that even though because she's sitting at a
No,
table?
you don't. Just just stylistic.
Because I was concentrating on the members.
Oh, you know. Oh, yeah, exactly right.
Because they're
Exactly right.
important.
Yeah, exactly right.
No, everyone's important.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So that's just a nice to have, but you definitely need to
left.
report. Yeah.
So we have done agenda item number 3.
Okay.
So we're up to number 4.
That will be on there, doesn't it?
What?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody. Thank you for voting me in. I really, do appreciate it, your confidence in that, and I really do hope that, we'll do my best for you, because I definitely will to support you, everyone. So, with that, and Carl as well, I think Carl is going to work well with me, so I have confidence in Carl in the deputy position as well. So, well done, Carl. Congratulations as well, and to everybody else, to Bernie for your election, and and to the councillors as well. Thank you. So I'd like to now officially open the meeting, so to begin with, we're on to apologies. So I believe we have 2 apologies. We have Guy Burns, who is out of the country, and I believe he's back next week, so he couldn't make it back in time. And we also have the Deputy Mayor, Lawrence, as an apology as well. So at this point, I would like to invite Martin to the table, please. He is the Ward Councillor, and oh, sorry, yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Yes, I'd like to move the apologies, and I have someone to second it. Bernie, thank you. Martin, I'd like, as the
He just needs to.
He needs to also carry it.
to invite you to join. Of course.
Should have said all those in favour.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. All those in
favour, say aye.
Yeah.
You will
All
get.
those
There
in
will be
favour?
training.
Yes.
Carried. Yes. Sorry, we'll get there. Yeah. Thank you, Martin. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, you could,
So
bring Councillor up, mover and seconder.
Oh, no, it's at the discretion of the chair.
it's discretion. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. So moving on. Declarations of interest relating to items of the agenda. Are there any notifications from the elected members of any interest that may cause a conflict with their role as an elected member relating to the items of business for this meeting?
No, just that's fine.
Is there any interest in items in which they may have a direct or indirect interest as provided by the local authorities? Members' Interest Act 1968?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So we will move on to item number 6. Public speaking time. Do we have anyone from the public who would like to speak? Yes.
Lindsley.
Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay, yes. Please.
Yeah. So what I didn't do.
I've got some flyers here. Most of them
We have like a public speaking form that we do for council and
I know the stuff, but I didn't have time to figure out what else.
my group's going around all the committee boards and hopefully the council
Three.
just to say at the start.
He's been informed.
First of all, well done. Welcome back, or welcome. And tell you a little bit about where we are. So we're the so I didn't have a plan to have a colleague with me tonight, so I apologise, Richard Down couldn't make it. What we are trying to do is two zones and reduce different places to different meetings. So hopefully we'll have people that come to the community board meetings. We are the local branch of the Cycle Action Network, which is a national advocacy group on behalf of all cyclists, pretty much as the flyer suggests, young and old, fast and slow, some of them getting slower, e-bikes and racing bikes and everything else. Our focus nationally is obviously about getting more people cycling, addressing climate change. Locally here we're pretty passionate about seeing more school children get to school. I watched a pretty impressive video by the Minister of Transport a few weeks ago in Newtown where he was rolling out some numbers about the drop in school children numbers using active transport to get to school. That isn't just cycling but walking as well. But even scooters, it's totally dropping, so we're very keen on seeing those numbers improve. Specifically around here, Paraparaumu Ward, we have been involved with the town centre development. We've also been involved with the revocation contract, which just seems to be going on forever, but I think it's almost finished. We've had input into those plans. We have made criticism of some of the work on Remedy Strait, and that's going to be included in the final safety audit by Whakakatāhi. We are hopeful that they will address the things we've raised. They are little things, just about cycling, whether the cycling is really top standard. And I think some people on the previous board will know what we meant. Town centre, we've been involved with looking at the plans for that, and we're very encouraged about that. We're very pleased to see a new bike park going in. It's called the Lucky Docks. For those of you who haven't heard about it, it's a state-of-the-art rack. I think there's 10 spaces in this one. They're all around the country now. Paraparaumu is a long way behind places like Auckland. 10 spaces. You have an app on your phone. You unlock the thing, put the bike in, and look at it again. It's, to my knowledge, it's damage-proof. The only problem is that, from what the project manager tells me, it's first come, first served. So I just fancy that the people who have got bikes and going on the train in the morning might just use those spaces up quickly. It might just suddenly be full, so you maybe think about another one. I know they're talking about putting another one in Waikanae, and I think that's important. We're talking to our community board about that. So better bike parking is a high priority for us, especially around coastals, especially around the big block shops. The actual centre of the old part of coastals isn't too bad, but when you go down to the likes of Briscoes and so on, that area, there's very little space for bikes. So that's an important issue for us locally. I mentioned about schools. Shared pathway on Company Road, we would like to see council just revisit the shared pathway on Company Road and make it fit for a 9 or 10-year-old to ride safely. It's got some tension in some places, particularly when you've got vehicles turning in and out of the retail areas. And we're also hoping that the council will be working with us on the government's proposals for lower speed limit or safety around schools. I think the Minister's mentioned about that, the idea that maybe parents don't drop their kids right at the school, they do it somewhere a little bit out of the way. And the new speed limit law, which is going to have an impact on Kapiti. I can foresee a time when maybe a lot of our local roads are going to be 40k, or a few more 30s, and possibly some 60s as well. And we hope that council will work with us on that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Very interesting. Is there any members who would like
Question, please?
questions?
Chair?
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, the central government and Whakakatāhi are trying to get people out of their vehicles, and I'm talking about school children as well, and walking and cycling and going on their scooters to school. So does your group lobby Whakakatāhi or central government for funding? Because I've got a whole list here of from all the schools between Otaki and Paikakariki around road safety issues, and especially in Donovan Road, for children to get from North Beach to Kenakina School. There is no footpath for them to safely cycle, walk, or on their scooter to get to school. So do you lobby central government or Waka Kotahi to get some funding for this?
We are lobbying at a national level. If you follow on the media and radio, Morgan is our national advocate, spokesperson. Patrick meets with Waka Kotahi regularly. We don't have any direct contact with them locally here. No.
Oh, okay.
Not locally.
No.
We certainly, we certainly speak up if we
my feeling is just that, they need to put their money where their mouth is. If they're saying that young people
well,
should do this, they need to provide safe access.
Some of our members have talked about maybe getting the minister up here, and Minister Wood, because some of the stuff does need funding, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And
I'd like to comment on my comments.
if you do it as a question.
Cool. Thanks very much for coming on. It's always cool to see you here. I love the work that you guys, your kaupapa is awesome. I think it's a treasure for us in the community that you guys are keeping on top of the stuff and being in those loops and those connections that you're making in your lobby. I'm wondering if it would be how the community board might be able to help you guys in the future, physically, monetarily, or by written support even. So when you are dealing with agencies like KCDC, Wakapukahi and GWRC, etc., if that's helpful for you.
Financially, we're okay. We get members typically pay about $25 to the national body. We get about $17 per person back as a rebate, and that keeps us going. Our bank balance is a few hundred. We only spend it on things like this. Basically, we don't do very many expensive campaigns. We work within the council, those of you who are familiar with the council structure, the Cyclone Walkways and Bridleways Advisory Group, CWB, and when it was running, the Road Safety Advisory Group. We've got members on both of those groups. We have an input of the council. I guess the road cyclists for years have said they would like to be consulted. They've got particular issues about road design and intersections. So if possible, emphasise to council staff when you're seeing a plan, when you're seeing a proposal, anything simple, roundabout, traffic lights, whatever, just check if they check with the cycling community. I mean, we've seen some good ones. The one on the end of Ratanui Road is excellent. There's a place there for the cyclists to get around the roundabout if they don't want to ride with the traffic. That sort of little thing is very useful. So a chance to see the plans. We saw the plans for revocation, but didn't see them right at the start. We didn't see them until the job was quite well advanced. So a chance to see what's in the council's staff's minds is most useful.
Yeah.
If you've got a chance to emphasise that would be good.
That makes sense. Yeah, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
interesting.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public who would like to speak at this moment? No? Okay, then I will close off the public speaking time and move on to members' business. Yes, so I guess public, is there anybody who wants to respond to the public speaking? Any response? What's the need of their response?
That was where I asked my comment, isn't it?
No, I think that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true.
Oh, no.
Okay, but we haven't gone to there yet. We'll come to yeah. Okay.
In section 8, the draft standards committee, does anyone do the questions for the
Yeah,
section 8.8.3 of the report.
Okay, yeah. So there's a on the agenda. There's an action coming up where we will approve or discuss the calendar for the upcoming meetings for the rest of the year, I guess, I believe. if anybody who's had a chance to have a look at that, if they know that we're going to be absent from any of those meetings.
Mr. Chair, can I suggest we go through the agenda? 8.1 first.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, we can come. I'm happy to come back to it as well. Yeah. So what we'll do is, we'll come back to that one after we do that. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll come back to the evidence and absence. Are there any matters of urgent nature that anybody would like to bring up? No? Okay, we'll move on. And I guess being the first meeting, there's not really any community board member activities to discuss, but I will ask, does any of the previous community board members have anything they'd like to discuss at this time?
Yeah, we do that under matters under action, 9.1. I mean, surely we should be following the agenda. So previous matters we can bring up, or any additional matters we can bring up under 9.1.
Oh, I think just through you, Mr. Chair. So Bernie, the Chair's just following the subsections of members' business.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Apologise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on then to. So we're on to agenda item number 8, reports. The 8.1, the adoption of standing orders. So the recommendation is that we adopt the standing orders from the previous board at this point until there's a new template recommendations coming out from the local government, NZ. So until that point, the recommendation at this point is we just adopt the previous ones and come back to it when the new ones are out.
I'll move that.
Yep, Bernie's happy to move that. Seconder.
Yep.
Yep, Glenn Cooper, second it. I will, let's move anyway. All in favour?
Aye.
Anybody against? No. Okay, so that's carried, yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, can I just draw your attention under standing orders, because this is peculiar to the Paraparaumu Community Board, paragraph 19.3. Now, in most cases, all the other community boards and all the other, even council, the chairperson has a casting vote. But during the last term, we took away the chairperson's casting vote. That was because the chairperson at that time wrote a letter to the Provincial Growth Fund supporting the gateway. And as a consequence, the casting vote was taken away, and so currently the chairperson has no casting vote.
So if I read this as it is,
Sorry, Mr. Chair, through you. May I just make a comment?
yes, yeah.
So, look, first of all, the standing orders have actually been adopted. They've actually been moved and seconded, and the resolution's been carried. Just in terms of your concern about, so it's page 70 of the agenda, it is paragraph 19.3, chairperson has a casting vote. So, through Mr. Chair, I'm happy to check that paragraph, but look, my understanding is the last traineum, so the PRCB actually adopted new standing orders that were consistent with all of the community boards. So prior to that, the traineum prior to that, PRCB had a very different set of standing orders. So in the last traineum, the casting vote was there, it wasn't used, it hasn't been amended or altered in any way. These were the standing orders of the last PRCB. So I'm happy to check that, but I'm 100% confident.
It was actually, that ruling, it was Councillor Halliday and myself. I was a councillor in those days, also moved and seconded it. And we specifically took it away. But really.
So the standing orders have actually been carried.
Yes. So what I'd recommend then is, as we are going to come back to this when
Yeah.
the new local government comes out, let's bring it up then, because I think that should be, it may even be the next meeting, with any luck. So let's bring it back to there, and because we're going to have to adopt, we will have the opportunity to adopt a new set of standing orders at the next meeting. So let's bring it table and bring it
But at the
forward
same
to this.
time, I would like Mr. De Haas to clarify, because he's raised the point that he disagrees with my ruling on it. And so I asked him to check and report back to all community board people.
Oh, so through you, Mr. Chair, look, I'm happy to check and report back to the Paraparaumu Community Board that the standing orders that we've adopted today are consistent with the standing orders of the previous PRCB. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy for it to
And
be
they
raised
are.
as a matter under action. But I certainly won't be going to all the community boards.
No, I'm not asking you to.
Yeah,
But
okay.
you argued that we were consistent, but we weren't. We specifically changed that.
Yeah.
I've got a good memory.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, yeah, so we'll come back to that when we do the next set of standing orders, which will hopefully be fairly soon in the next couple of meetings.
Excuse me, Mr. Chief, can I just get some clarity on what Bruno was talking about? It says here that the chairperson doesn't have the casting vote in standing orders.
Sorry, is this a cross-examination?
No, I was just checking.
For Paraparaumu, they don't.
Yeah, so just clarifying, you were just asking whether the casting vote had been removed. Just read, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't this read that the casting vote has been removed?
It does.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's move on, yep. Let's move on. So, the next action.
They've chosen the person to have it, so he appears right, they did choose to.
So adoption standing orders has been done, so we're at 8.2, page 107, and it's the community board remuneration.
Standing board remuneration, yep. So, yeah. Oh, we can,
Would that be helpful?
that would be helpful, yes. Okay.
So through you, Mr. Chair, page 107 of the agenda, report 8.2, community board remuneration. We'll take the report as read. There is a recommendation that the Paraparaumu Community Board notes the information on board remuneration. Nothing has changed since we issued the agenda. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions on the table? No? So I will move this as it reads. Do we have someone to
Second.
secondary? I was going to think, I'm moving it. Yeah, so I'm thinking, hold on. Yeah, so
I'll second that, Brian.
secondary. Yep. Carl will second it. And all those for?
Just you do have an option to have debate. I think this is where we kind of skipped in the last one.
Yes.
So once you've got a move and seconded, then you can open it up for
Okay.
debate.
Yeah, so I'd like to open up for debate. No? Okay, thank you. So, all those for? Right,
Aye.
and against? No? Okay, we'll carry that. That's carried.
So now we go to 1.8.
So thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. We're now on page 118 of the agenda, report 8.3, draft calendar of community board meetings. The chairperson referenced this a little bit earlier when we were going through members' business, which typically seeks leave of absence from the community board members. So it's fitting to perhaps consider this report. If it is moved, seconded, no debate and carried, then I would recommend that the chair
brings back the question of members' business leave of absence, because effectively then what the community board has actually said is they're happy with the proposed schedule of the meetings, and at that point, if any of the community board members are aware that they can't attend one of the meetings, now would be the time to put a leave of absence. You certainly don't have to, but if you are aware that you can't attend one, we do need to put to the community board a request. So nothing's changed since the agenda has gone out, so I will take questions.
So, can't we, I don't mind the dates, but could we have meetings during the day instead of the evening? Would anyone object to that?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
More so because I'll be working.
Yeah, no, I know that's a problem.
Yes, it's
But
a problem
I'm
for
just
me
saying
as
if
well.
there was
Working,
a
so it would be an issue for me.
Yeah. I mean, from what I've seen generally up to now, you know, all the community boards meetings have been in the evening at 7, and I think, you know, for me it would work best. I don't know about you, Carl.
Yeah, I think for the public it'll be better.
And for the public as well. It makes it easier for the public speaking time as well. It's, yeah, that's good. And so I think, you know, if everybody's happy, then, you know, I would move actually to keep it at 7 o'clock. Is there, before I move the schedule, is there anybody who has anything to on the dates themselves of the next meetings? No? Okay. So I would like to move that. Do we have someone to second it? Glenn, Cooper. Is there any debate on that? Okay, and we'll carry that. So we've got our schedule for the next. Oh yeah, sorry. All those in favour? Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
And against? Yeah. Okay, so we'll carry it.
So, through you, Mr. Chair, report 8.4, considerations of applications for funding. That's page 121 of the agenda. So, through you, Mr. Chair, we have, since issuing the agenda, so we've received 2 applications for funding as detailed in the report, one for the discretionary grant, one for the initiatives fund. What we have since discovered, since issuing the agenda, was that on the 24th of November, the Council will table the governance structure and delegations. So until such time as the Council actually approve and adopt the governance structure and delegations, the Community Board effectively has no financial delegation to approve the grants. So what I would recommend is, you have had 2 applications. With your permission, what I'd recommend is that you amend the recommendation that says subject to approval of the governance structure and delegations by Council on 24th of November. If you wish to approve these, then you do approve it, subject to Council approval, so that they don't just lie on the table, because your other option is that they lie on the table and they have to then come back to the next Community Board meeting. So I think it would be far better to discuss and debate, and if you do agree to approve them, then it's subject to Council meeting on the 24th of November. Provided that is accepted by Council, then Council can make payment of those grants to those 2 accounts.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So I open up. Is there anyone want to?
Can I clarify with Mark? Yeah. So Mark, the councillors have not adopted the powers to the community board,
The financial delegations, yes.
but all the other powers they have.
No, they haven't. So that's happening on the 24th. The committee structure is still being confirmed, as well as the delegations of those committees and the financial delegations.
Well,
So that's for all committee boards. So no committee board right now has got financial delegation. It's a formality.
So I'd like to suggest to the councillors listening or councillors present that maybe more power should be given to community boards. Give them at least one extra power. 6 years ago, you took away the power, and 9 years ago, you took away the power about safety, road safety, away from the community board. I can't see why that can't be put back in. At least one power, one additional power should be given to community boards. So I hope some councillors will listen to that and give a community board, all community boards, some additional power.
Benny, would you like to make a recommendation?
I don't know if I can. Can I?
Can he make a recommendation, or has he not got the power to do that either?
Well, look, we are in, so at the moment we're in discussion, so it's questions relating to the paper.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to discuss whether or not you want to move a motion to amend the recommendation, and then you could move a second motion for a second recommendation.
I thought, okay. But is anything, the problem, Kathy, Councillor, Kathy.
It's all right, then, just call me Kathy.
The problem I have is what additional power are we going to give? You know, but something should be given. Right? There's too much power being taken away over the years from community boards, and no additional new power being given.
Yep.
So I thought safety was the one they took away.
Yeah, I've got it. I've noted it.
There's something specific around safety that would be agreeable to Sean Mellon's team.
No, I support that. I think that's really good you brought that up, Jenny.
I've got lots of issues here of road safety around schools.
Okay.
So that's well.
So what? Sorry, excuse my ignorance, Bernie. What do you mean?
Well,
what does it mean?
I thought you approved it at the last training, at the last council meeting, because last training we approved it all at once. But our powers, as Mark just said, for the community board, are determined by you councillors. So when you vote on it, you'll be given a list of powers. You haven't seen it yet, but you'll be given a list of powers that all community boards will have. Right? Mark has said, you know, financial matters, and there are other matters that we have given powers to determine. I don't have the list here. But there should be an additional power because nothing new has been added in 6 years, and the councillors' previous training, as the public know, were very keen on limiting the powers of community boards. In fact, at one council meeting, the councillors wanted to do away with community boards. So I think, you know, and the community reacted to that. So I think some additional power, one additional power, should be given. You're given a list of 7 or 8 powers, you'll see. One additional power should be given.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So I think we've got 2 different matters here. So the report that you're considering in front of you is applications for funding. And so right now you've got we have a technical glitch. So you cannot approve that funding right now because you don't have financial delegations. So what I'd recommend is that you discuss and agree whether or not you do wish to approve the funding, and if you do wish to approve it, then we should pass a motion that changes the recommendation that's subject to council approval of the governance structure and delegations. You do approve it, and that closes this report. What Bernie is talking about is amending the overall governance structure and delegations to the community board. So what I'd recommend, if you want to do that, you could then pass a motion, discuss it, and that could be a separate recommendation from the community board to the council. So it's a separate matter. This is applications for funding. So perhaps we close this out, and if it's the will of the community board, then we could deal with the recommendation formally. You can vote, carry on it, and then it can be a recommendation to council. Is that all right, Bernie? It's just kicking our structure.
So,
Bernie, you're going to do recommendations for that?
Is there someone who'd like to move that?
Are you on A, recommendations, that Paraparaumu Community Board approves a discretionary grant of $2,000?
No, we're not there. We're there. No, what we are recommending is what Mark was just discussing, that at the moment we don't have the authority to actually do the grants. So what we're saying is that we're going to move that the changes to it.
So we'll remove an amendment to the recommendation, which will read that subject to council approving the governance structure and delegations of the Paraparaumu Community Board.
the paradigm, and then it'll follow. A will follow. So it's amendment to both A and B,
Yeah,
subject
that's
to
what I'm saying.
approval,
Yeah.
and then you will then. So we should first of all put that motion.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So let's would someone like to? I'll put the motion to the table. Yeah. Would someone like to move?
So we just need to clarify
second
number.
The number and the wording, definitely. Sorry,
Yes.
can I just listen in very carefully? So, subject to council's approval of the governance structure and delegation.
Yes.
For the
For the
Paraparaumu
Paraparaumu.
Community Board.
Thank you.
And then it's that the Paraparaumu Community Board approves a discretionary grant of
Yeah.
Of, so we haven't discussed the amount yet.
No.
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 Okay.
So you need a seconder for that?
or we need. So whoever's going to move it needs to give us the amount
Okay, so you
Yeah.
want the amount. So subject the amendment with the amount.
with the amount,
Yes.
and then
Okay,
you need a
we'll
move and a
mention it
seconder.
twice and then-
Okay.
So we're in just discussion.
So yeah, and so are you taking them? I guess you're taking them separately.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
So Mr. Chair, through discussion of the community board, it would be helpful to agree the dollar value that's been attributed to the discretionary grant, and we can
And then
move
do
the amendment
painter,
subject to
painter,
and the
painter.
dollar amount. And then
Just hold on.
dollar
Yeah.
amount.
So we're discussing here
And then highlight
the first one, which is for the Kapiti Community Patrol, which is 8.4. Yeah, I know it's 4. So before we discuss actually the monetary amount, is there anybody who has any questions or any concerns about this?
I need to move an amount. Is that right?
Yeah,
I moved $2,000.
you would like to move that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Yep, so that's fine. So, all in favour of?
Aye.
Oh, do you-
of
Any discussion? Any debate?
Oh, sorry, discussion. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the thing is, the community patrol, as Kathy will tell you, Kathy, Councillor Spears will tell you that they've done a lot of work for us. Paraparaumu shops now got Ram Raiders, and McLean Park, we have problems down there.
Yeah.
And community patrol, when we had problems about 2 years ago, the community patrol stepped up their activities around that area and did a good job. And we gave them $2,000 last time. And they actually have their name on the side of our name on the side of their vehicle. They used to. So I think this is a worthwhile cause.
Through you, Mr. Chair, look, it is my job to just point out. So what's been moved is $2,000 versus an application of $500. What you have left in the discretionary grant is $15,590. So I just want to make sure that the community board, if you do approve the $2,000, that's fine, but
Yes.
they have requested $500.
Yeah. Yeah. So, would there be anybody who would be opposed to increasing it to $2,000? No. On that one, no. Is there anybody who would be opposed to them getting a grant at all at this point? No. Anyone else would like to discuss? Any other discussion or debate? Or
I think it's best keeping. Hopefully they're fantastic work, and I'm fully supportive of the community patrol. And it's not something that just happens once or twice; it happens all the time. It's regular. They've got lots of costs, and I think they're eligible maybe for other community board funds. But I think it'd be great to kick us off to give them a $2,000 kick. I think it'd be great.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I'd just like maybe at some point to discuss the process of giving more than people were requesting.
Yep.
If we should have a process around that ourselves.
I think it's a good point.
Just makes it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Councillor Cooper, normally the previous Jane, or the previous staff member, would forward us all the applications in advance. We would get it about a couple of weeks, right,
Yeah.
Kathy?
Yes.
And Kathy was the chair in those days, so myself even, we can phone the people and ask them to get more information.
Yeah.
I suspect this one, this lady who's applying for it, someone new to the job and is not aware of the background to the community patrol.
So is there a motion for 2,000
Yes.
with the amendments, and it needs to be moved?
It's been moved
It has been
by
moved and
Spies
seconded.
and
So
Rundle.
we're in debate.
Yep.
So now
You can put the motion.
you can put the motion.
Okay. Yeah. So I'd like to put the motion. So we've so we just need to vote. Yeah. Yeah. So all of those for.
Aye.
Right. And against? No. There's carried. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, through you, perhaps before we move anything with regards to number B, just have a discussion about the amount,
Make
doing
this
the amount, and
a
then
resolution.
with the amendment to then debate and then to vote.
Also, I was just thinking, I don't know if we went back and actually did the leave of absence. So we'll come back to that afterwards. Yeah. Okay. So the second one on the agenda tonight is the Lions Club, who are seeking, requesting $1,000 for to help the costs to hold the district convention, caring for the environment, in March 2003, which they're hosting at Southwoods Car Museum. So this one is coming out of the initiatives grant, or it's been requested out of the initiatives grant. Currently we have $11,444 left in that grant. So yes, I'd open up for discussion on this one. Is there anybody who'd like to?
No, the other point is that Councillor Byers will say that, which is I think is not right, but we actually have a pre-meeting to discuss these grants beforehand amongst ourselves, right? And we chop and change. I don't know. I just think this might be a bit too much, but for other people, I'm not going to vote against it. But I just think that because this is the first meeting, and we haven't got around to discussing these things and the procedure. But that's all my only comment.
Yeah, I would. When I initially read that, I looked at that as well, and I did look at it twice. I remember, but after consideration, and looking at the fund and the applications that come through and stuff, previously, I don't have anything against the $1,000. Is there? Yeah, personally. So, is there anyone else, specifically about the amount, who would have concerns about it being at $1,000?
I reckon the numbers they're thinking, I think it's up to 200. I think, and I'm looking at the costings there, it's about $2,000 shortfall is what they're estimating. And I see they've got other sponsorship and applications out. So I haven't got any problem with the amount. I think it'd be great, and I think it's a bonus for Southwoods, and it's also a bonus for the community through the Lions.
Yeah, they do great work.
The money will take us, I think we've got up to June. So we've got to make sure we don't overcommit ourselves. So we have money almost coming to the end of the financial year.
Yeah.
I think what you're saying too, Bernie, about having pre-meetings, we'll start that before our next meeting in January or February. Let's start doing that so we actually distribute funding applications a bit better.
I think those meetings are called pre-determination. Technically not allowed, but...
Oh, yeah, well, I tell anyone.
They were just suggestions. They were just suggestions.
Discuss.
Yeah.
So through you, Mr. Chair, look, this community board now exists, and you will find your own way of doing things. Just to clarify a point, so look, the discretionary grants and the initiatives fund has been well advertised. Members of the community do know about it. Both of those funds really are on a first come first served basis. So if you have worthy applications that you feel, there's certainly, yes, it is nice to do an even spread of distribution right through to the end of the financial year. And typically what happens towards the end of the financial year, when there's lots of money, you do get in lots of applications. But there's certainly no requirement on the community board to hold funds back. It is on a first. You have encouraged the community to apply for these funds. you have told the community what the criteria is, and so just a point of clarification, you don't have to hold back. If there's something that you want to give the money to, you've got up to the allotted funds, and you can, you know, if at the next meeting there's applications that you do wish to spend the money on, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's at your discretion.
So, Mr. Chair, can I ask Mark through that? Is the initiative grant, is that going to continue in the next financial year?
So through you, Mr. Chair, so it was initiative in the previous triennium for 2 years only. So it was year 1 and year 2 of the long-term plan, and I think it was set for 2 years just to see to measure the likely uptake of the fund. There is no reason why we wouldn't discuss that as part of when council looks to develop the annual plan for next year, whether that funding is something that the table wants. And there's no reason why that wouldn't be discussed as development of the next LTP. So this community board, though, has actually done very well in terms of spending this money. But I believe across all the community boards, there's been a pretty strong uptake of the funds. So it's budgeted for only 2 years. As it stands, there is no budget for this fund in year 3 of the long-term plan, but that's something that could be revisited as part of the end plan.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the Lions Club, Nui. Is it Paraparaumu Wakanai? Always associated Nui with Wakanai.
Question within the.
Just the Lions Club, is it a Wakanai? Is there are different Lion clubs in the district?
So it is.
Can I not just sorry?
Yeah. There's a Wakanai Lions Club and Nui is the Paraparaumu.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if you look in the appendix, it actually has the address, the organisation is Paraparaumu.
Yeah, good to do that.
Okay.
Maybe we move amendment.
Yeah, move the amendment.
$1,000.
And also, we also need to.
And the subject to.
And this, yeah, the subject. Yeah. So move 2 actions. First of all, that so that the grant of $1,000 is approved. Also, the wording will need to change as it was with the previous one.
Subject to council's approval of the governance structure and delegations for the Paraparaumu Community Board. The Paraparaumu Community Board approves an initiative grant of $1,000 to the Lions Club of Nui. Paraparaumu.
Yep. Yes.
Are you moving this?
Yes, I'll move that. Someone would like to second that?
I'll second it.
Second, okay.
Councillor Spears.
Yes, Councillor Spears, sorry. Yep. This one.
Spires.
Yeah, Spires. Yeah.
Just clarify.
Yeah.
Now in debate?
Yeah, debate. Is there any debate?
Yeah, just through Mr. Chair. I'm happy to vote in the affirmative, but I think it would be important for us moving forward to come together as a group, you really sit down and look at what the objectives of the fund are, make sure that we're giving it to really deserving candidates. Not saying this group isn't, but it's a limited fund, and I'd hate to think that we dish it out and then to not as worthy people as there could be that come later once the fund's gone. So just
yeah, I agree.
As a group and decide what our values are in relation to this.
Yeah, and I believe as well that with this fund, we as community board can actually, if there's something we want to fund or to do, we can actually use this grant as well. Yeah, so I think that's important as well. Is we may want to look at that and maybe in the next meeting or so, if there's something we want to do in the next 6 months as a board, and maybe reserve some of that fund for it. Yeah, so it's something worthwhile discussing.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Look, I need to seek advice, but the criteria for the initiatives fund is that funding cannot be issued directly to the community board. So you can't give that to yourself.
No, but through the community board.
Through the community board. So we just need to be
So the way that we do it,
careful.
yeah.
We need to be careful of that. But the discretionary grant you actually can.
Oh, that's especially,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to be careful on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
careful out on. Yeah. But it's worth, yeah, okay. So,
We're still in debate.
yeah, we're still in debate. Is there anybody else?
Excuse me, Stu. Now, can you just clarify what you just said again?
Yeah, so with the discretionary grants, the up to 500, the community board can actually grant itself. So, for example, if it's got something to do, it could put an application in to grant itself. But the initiatives fund, one of the criteria is that it can't be given directly to the community board. So, where the community board wants to do something, so that's why I said to the chair, we just need to clarify. Continue to develop that idea, but just make sure that we aren't actually granting the community board funds from the initiatives fund directly.
Directly, yeah.
Directly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably time to vote.
Yep, so let's vote on that. All those for granting $1,000 to the Lions Club, do I hear aye?
Aye.
Anybody against? No? Yeah, it's carried. Yeah, yeah, it's carried. Yeah. So should we go back to the... Let's just do that. Yeah, so we'll just go back to the leave of absence because we missed that after we looked at the calendar. So looking at the calendar now and the dates now, is there any members of the board who would like to have any leave of absence?
It's very hard to determine, right? That's for the whole year.
Just any ones that you know. Any ones that you immediately know, you might not get the next one.
My understanding is that the standing orders of council are going to be amended to give the mayor the discretion to herself. She can actually just approve.
She has that now.
Huh?
She has that now.
Oh,
so
she
if you
has.
just wanted to email her or speak to her, she can approve your leave of absence.
That's right, that's in this, yeah, it is in
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I got no.
Anybody else? Any debate or anything on this? No? Okay, great. So, I guess there's nothing to move on this.
No.
No? Okay, great.
No.
Perfect.
Yes.
So through Mr. Chair, that takes us to matters under action, page 133. It is effectively a report. Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to maybe just come back to an earlier point that was raised about the standing orders and the casting votes, where we said I would go and have a look at it, and we'd come back to the community board and it'll be a matters under action. It was actually correctly pointed out, the query that was raised is there shouldn't be a casting vote by the chair, and actually that's what the standing orders say, there is no casting vote.
That's great.
So 19.3 does say does not have a casting vote.
Yeah.
So,
And that is specific to Paraparaumu.
so that was you were challenging why the chair did have a casting vote, and the answer is that the chair does not have a casting vote.
No, you were contradicting me. Mark, you were contradicting me. I said the chair does not have a casting. I'm sure Kathy heard me. I said the chair does not have a casting vote.
Yeah. Well, then my apologies, Bernie.
Thank you.
I
Is that
thought what
recorded?
you had meant that the standing orders have been changed and weren't an accurate reflection of the last standing orders. That's what I said. I
Yeah,
didn't
but
know
they
that
were
was
changed during the training.
Yes.
You can go back and check on
Yeah.
that.
So my apologies, but the standing orders, it does not have a casting vote. So it was obviously changed by yourself and Councillor Halliday. Yep.
Okay.
So I don't. Is there still a matters under action that you want with the?
No,
with
I mean,
okay.
you're just disputing it.
My apologies.
Yeah, let's move
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take the report as read and happy for the board to discuss the matters under action.
Yeah, so being our first meeting, I there's probably not a lot to discuss about what has been done. So on the new members, on the board members, yeah. So, but of course, we do have a couple of people who are on the previous board. I'm happy if there's any specific ones people want to bring up.
Well, I want to bring up the gateway.
Could we go through them?
Yeah,
Chief,
or
one by
I'm happy
one?
to go through. So, yeah, I'm happy to do that.
But I've got that.
Okay.
If we please go down the list.
Yeah. So let's start. I'm starting with the town centres project and the Paraparaumu Transport Hub. Is there discussion?
Yes. Okay. Mark, yesterday when we met, I said that the pedestrian underpass will remain in place, and I needed clarification of whether the ramp's going to remain open. Did you have a chance to?
No, the query has been made, so it's been lodged. So clarification is whether the ramps for pedestrian underpass remain. It's been rumoured that the ramps will not remain in place, so we're just seeking confirmation on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, was there a walkthrough, was there?
Now, you know how they were going to close the ramp at the underpass?
No. But yesterday we haven't had that walkthrough, have we?
Community board.
Yeah.
No, did you go on the bus trip?
No.
No, I didn't either. So.
Yeah, we were on the bus trip, so we were taken to the transport hub.
Okay.
And there was actually a comment that was made, which to the effect that at some point in the future it would be reviewed if that underpass would stay or not. So that was just a comment that was made. I think you heard it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I think the comment was for now.
For now, yeah.
So we didn't actually walk through, we stayed in one place because of the traffic and had a bit of talk around it, and the underpass was mentioned as being kept, and the comment came back for now, so we just wanted clarification about what the plans are.
Yeah, what does for now mean?
Yeah, for
that's
now,
right.
because I
Why you take it out? Why would you take it out?
Exactly.
Exactly,
Brainless.
Doesn't make sense.
the whole thing,
Yeah,
the
to
whole
get part of it,
project doesn't make sense. The council is spending about $8 million on this town centre, the transport hub. $8 million on the transport hub, and it was discussed in public excluded. So the only thing I can talk about is the amount of money, because that came out of public excluded. Where did that money come from? Was it in the annual plan? I couldn't find it, unless Mark wants to comment, or did it come from the long-term plan? No. Where did that money come from?
I think a few years ago, my understanding was there's $40 million or something put in the plan for over the next 20 or 30 years for revocation works, but I could be wrong. But it's 8.48 million too.
Yeah. So where did that money come from, and why did they have to discuss it in public excluded when there was no cost of building? We'd already acquired the land, so why did it actually have to be discussed in public excluded? I can never work that out.
Is caps on?
So through you, Mr. Chair, there's an action to seek clarification whether the ramps for the underpass will remain open.
Thank you. Yeah. And maybe sometime in 2 or 3 months or a couple of months' time, we could, the community board maybe have another walkover and see how it's going.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So these actions, when we create these actions, how are they dealt with?
So we'll be adding them to the so as you go through each item, any additional matters under action will be added. Any queries that are raised will be captured for staff to follow up, and then we'll circle back to yourself with those responses, and we'll probably provide responses to the whole community board. Yep.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this item?
no,
Okay, great. So let's move on. The Martin Kaukau Memorial.
that's going to be with the new upgrade of the skate park. Council's working with the iwi, and they've got a group, and Martin Kaukau's part of that. So that's all going to be done once the upgrading of the skate park is completed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good result.
It is excellent result.
It's been a while, eh?
That's all from me on that one.
There's no new action?
No.
Okay, great. Fantastic. So the next one is the RSA Memorial.
Yes. Could I comment on that,
You
please?
may, of course.
I spoke to Mr. Philip Simpson today from the RSA, and the memorial has almost been completed, but it will not be ready for the 11th of November. And council's poured the concrete down there for where it's going to go. And there is some more other information I do know, but I need to take it offline because staff do not know about it yet. Okay. So I'll catch up after the meeting is closed.
Thank you, Councillor.
But yeah, so it's on its way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do we know what it looks like? Do we actually know what it is? Is it a secret?
It's a standalone, and it's you know how they shape like that at the top with
So
the wording on.
Like a,
Yeah.
like a needle.
Like a
Not very
sweet
cool.
with a top on it and it has
Yeah.
a plaque on it, and it's recognition of those serving overseas.
Which end is it?
Right opposite at the Vista Club,
Yes.
and on the corner of Marine Parade and McLean
yes,
Street,
across
there's
it.
a flag. It's right opposite
Okay.
there.
We had
Oh, I know where it is. Yeah, I saw
And,
the concrete thing.
and it's a thank you to Carl Weber for his support from Manawhanaua too. That actually moved that along.
7-year holder.
27 since 2017, I've been talking to staff.
Yeah, they got sort of stuck with, I think Iwi might have been under resourced, and so I got approached as Hokainga down there, had a look at it, took it under consideration, but there's no reason not to support it.
Yeah.
So I did a support letter, and that moved us forward.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely. Things started happening once Carl signed
Oh,
the
good
letter.
on you, keep on it.
Yeah, no, great. Yeah, no, that's a great result. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. The next one is the Carl. How do I say this?
Kahi te rau o te rangi.
Yeah, artwork. Yep.
Kahi te rau o te rangi.
Did you want to? Did you have anything on this one?
According to that, yeah. So Kahi was the woman who swam back from Kapiti Island, and this was to commemorate that the Kapiti Island swim that happened annually. I think that was a few years, COVID and stuff. That's part of that commemoration. So yeah, this is a monument to do that. I've got a couple of comments on that. So I see. So part of the Tūrehi Gateway, Chris Gerritsen for Te Atiawa has been commissioned to provide art cultural elements to the building and surrounds. So I see it's within the Gateway budget. Now I'm wondering if it wasn't in the McLean Park budget. So depending on what happens with the Gateway, we might want to have a look at that in the future. The other one was what's the selection process for the selection process that's gone through by council for who's doing that carving. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's a public process or a closed process with iwi, which is something to look at in the future. I know Chris is a carver who's from Te Atiawa. I have other members of my whānau who are carvers in from Te Atiawa, and a direct descendant from Kahi, so I think maybe in the future we might want to have a think about some of these processes, the selection processes. That's about my comments to that. But yeah, support that happening.
So would you like those two to be actions? Actions
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two actions there. One is regarding the funding
Yep.
as a part of the gateway, and the second one is the selection process for Kahi.
Yeah, sorry, Chris.
So I have a comment. It can't be part of the gateway. I don't like this idea of, support us on the gateway and we will get this work done. So it's artwork done. It shouldn't be. Maybe that the wording as part of the gateway should be taken out and just say Chris from Te Atiawa has been commissioned. Would you agree with that, Carl?
Yeah, I do, Bernie. I just think that the funding for it, if it's put under the gateway, it was tied up with that funding, and I don't think it was supposed to be. It should have been in the McLean Park.
There's funding from the wellness, which has been tagged for the McLean Park cultural and
On the Better Off Funding.
the Better Off funding for cultural awareness in the park.
Yeah.
So it may just be a matter of
Pretty technical.
technical,
yeah.
Yeah.
and that would actually give that wellness fund some standing to, if we're seeing long-standing
It's
stuff
fairly,
going in the park.
it's a fairly significant and important thing for mana whenua, and I think it deserves to have its own standalone process and fund around that.
We've been pushing, the community board pushing for this for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the derision in the community over Te Urihi Gateway, it would be nice for it to not have that attached to it.
Yeah.
People will see that in, you know.
Well, it's put into part of the process with the gateway, which a lot of people are against the process, so maybe it's
That
outside.
would be my personal view.
Well, I think the first thing then is that action, your first action is to find out is it has been, money has gone into the gateway or not.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
And more general interest about the selection process,
And the selection process,
rather than
yes.
a drama.
Yeah.
Mike was a good question.
No, actually, my question was around the charity with the funding for. You was funding the theme park and for that, but you just clarified that, so that's what we're checking on.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, is there any more discussion on this item? No. Okay, let's move on. So CCTV on council parks and open spaces. Has anything come up on that one?
No, just the council's working on something, aren't they, Mark?
They are.
So
Yeah.
just leave that there for now until we get something back.
I'll comment on that. So some discussions I've had with Tanya from Paraparaumu Community Board. Myself and another member of the public were quite keen on getting public cameras around, and I think Tanya Sheeran from Community Board had asked from council how many cameras they have, so got a number. We didn't get locations. What we're hoping to do is find out what the council does and has coverage of what the police do. And there's a crowd in Levin that they do public cameras. It's a Facebook group, and they're collaborating with I think it's the council and the police there. And I think they're starting to do some work in Otaki and might be just starting to work with our council. So it's just something that we're keen to follow up on, and we'll probably put that under matters under action when we build our other stuff. Is that it? Oh, when we put our list of stuff we're going to do. That's part of it, is to keep following up on that. So we're pretty keen to get feedback. I think in February something might be coming back, eh, Mark? Yeah. So something's coming back in Feb. So just going to keep having a bit of a sniff around that. If that makes any
There's some
difference.
pretty heavy security stuff around that, I imagine, Carl.
Yeah, well, that's what we thought. The crowd in Levin that are doing it, they've actually cracked it. So rather than trying to invent the wheel, we could copy paste perhaps what they're doing with collaboration with the police and council. And we've gone through some of that stuff with our webcams on Kapiti Island, where we have to have certain protocols in place. So no, it's just an interesting one. And again, it's about public safety for us. All the ram raids, burglaries and things like that. Yeah. That's about all I'd say to that. I think it's a great initiative to follow up.
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Chair, just for the benefit of everyone in the room, look, the council is working with an outfit in Otaki. We've been approached. We do have a CCTV network. At the moment, it's really just protection of council assets and council staff. There's no monitoring at all. It's recorded for up to 72 hours. We do provide the information to police when requested. So the council officers are working through what the CCTV network is, how it functions, how it performs, what the budget is. They are speaking to specialists and do plan to bring it back to council. If the will of the table is that it becomes community safety, it will obviously be a step change in policy. There will need to be resourcing, doesn't need to be monitored how much, etc., etc. So this request, we have been requested. We typically get requests for CCTV at McLean Park. It's not as simple as just putting a camera up at McLean Park. So staff are working on it. The plan is to come back in February next year with the report, outlining what we've discovered so far, maybe some recommendations as well.
Thanks, mate. I think KBC, Company Boat Club, are keen to work with you guys with McLean Park stuff as well.
And also on the, as regards to the implementation of the beach bylaw, obviously there's going to be consultation on whether there's barriers, etc., etc. So I know the Couple Boating Club are keen.
Managed access.
Managed access.
Name for everything, isn't it?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So there's no new actions on that?
No.
Perfect. Okay. So moving on, we've got items that are part of the council's forward work program.
Yeah, so through you, Mr Chair, in terms of the matters under action, there's things that community board members have undertaken and we've documented that, there's queries, but there's also things that have arisen that the council, that are already underway by council. So if it's a matter before council or it's been done by council, it's really more for noting. And the expectation is that the community board do get informed on what the council is doing. So it's just signalling that the community board is interested in a whole lot of stuff that is actually being already done by council.
Okay, so we so we don't discuss the.
No, you're welcome to.
Yeah, go through them.
Yeah, we can. Okay, so so the first one, of course, is the hot topic on here, the gateway. So this was saying that the comment was that the resource hearing was the 3rd to 4th of October. Do we know did that occur?
Yes, it did.
Did it occur, and what was the result? Not so. Yeah, so I guess I'll open that one for discussion. Is there any?
Well, of course, we hope that I hope that the new councillors, will do away with the gateway and not continue with it. I mean, it's going to cost 10%, close to 10% of our rates for it if it goes ahead. It's working its way up to $10 million. So I just hope common sense prevails, but who knows? The previous mayor wanted it. He wanted it to be his legacy project. So we just have to wait and hope that the new councillors are more progressive than the previous training councillors.
Just through you, Mr Chair, Mark, I was under the impression that in relation to the RMA hearing that the council was removing the application in regards to the car park at McLean Street. Is that correct? That rings a bell?
I'm through you, Mr Chair, if I'm not sure, Martin. You need to find out about that.
Through Mr Chair, the southern car park.
Yeah.
The ones opposite Ocean Road. Yeah, they have been removed from the consent.
There's actually noted on here as well.
They have been removed.
Yeah, it has been removed.
So would that indicate that the consent hearings completed?
No, because there were 14 people who were partially notified. So 14 people were impacted to varying degrees, and the submissions were against the car park and the project. So the commissioners still need to rule on the resource consent for the building itself.
Did they give any date for that, do you know at all?
Around the 11th of November, but there may be an appeal period post that. 14th of November rings a bell.
And the appeals will be based on the result that comes out?
Yeah, and either party could appeal the result, depending on which way it swings. So technically the council could appeal if it goes again, or the 14 could appeal as well.
Okay. So I guess there's a little bit of ambiguity with regards to the next step from a council perspective. I'm under the impression that there's a report due to come back after the resource consent hearing. It's just, I guess, we've not had that definition or that delineation of when that actually happens. So when the initial ones come back, or when the initial, or when it's after the appeals process. But that's something we can perhaps bring up at the council table to get some clarity around.
Yeah. So through you, Mr Chair. So Councillor, I think what you might be referring to is when we adopted the annual plan, there was the recommendation that was carried by council that at the completion of the resource consent process, a paper would be tabled regarding to Urahi, which would set out the outcomes of the resource consent, plus what council asked for was a detailed revision to the costings so that council could make a decision as to how to continue. I think that's what you might be referring to. So it was the completion of the resource consent process.
So is that after the any appeals?
I believe so. Yep.
Okay. From your experience, Mark, in an appeals process, I guess it's how long is a piece of string. That could take a while. potentially? Or are those potentially relatively quick processes? Any ideas at all?
Through Mr. Chair, I couldn't really comment on that.
Yeah, my expectation. So, Terry, my feeling is that I'm not sure that our current elected members will wait for the resource consent. I've got a feeling that someone might take some action prior to that, move a special motion of some sort, and put it to a table based on what we saw through the election process. From a community board angle, I'm still have been, and pretty much right from the start, haven't been hearing much positive support from the community. So pretty much just putting my faith in you guys to be moving forward the most responsible way we can with that. I guess there's a bit of frustration. I've seen it from the going through the resource consent hearing and the cost around that and staff time, that it may be a waste of time if that happens. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I'm just putting my faith in you guys with where it goes. I think we're all fairly unanimous that we haven't seen a lot of community support for it. That's my feeling around 30.
On that as well, I noticed the other day when I was down there that the pedestrian bridge, when they did the stream, was removed. Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing what is the plan for that to be brought back, and is it tied to the gateway? Because I would have expected it to...
Did you say fencing, sorry?
No, the pedestrian bridge, the footbridge that used to go over there has been removed, and I'd love to see it come back again. So I'd be, really interested to know if there, what is, when it's there and what will determine it being put up.
I think part of that, the planned bridge for the project is quite different from what we had there. And if there was going to be a long haul, that maybe we can get the other bridge reinstated. The other thing I thought down there, it's good they've just started putting some plants down there. Have a look at it. It's really good. Just a couple. There was one. There's one rock still lying on its side there that had the plaque on it for Captain Val Sanderson, and I don't know where that's gone. And it's kind of disrespectful seeing it lying like that on its side with no plaque on it. Captain Val Sanderson was instrumental in Paraparaumu becoming a nature reserve, and also the establishment of New Zealand Forest and Bird. So yeah, it'd be nice to see a little bit of a tidy up around what has been done down there from my perspective. And it looks like initially we had concerns that the stream was the southern bank of the stream rebuild had been too low. We've seen a lot in spring tides it was coming over. We're keeping an eye on that, and it seems to have brought itself back to level now, so we're not seeing it overflowing so much. But it's still something to keep an eye on. There was some concerns.
That was strange how the southern one is lower than the northern one. I couldn't understand that. But
and council were asked about that, and they said that was part of the design. But I've talked to some people around there who are experts in it, and it shouldn't really be happening. So it's something we might want to keep an eye on in the future when we get some spring tides up.
As the other planting, one of the other things that I noticed was down there, which I was a little bit surprised about, is I noticed they put the netting, the mesh down, and plant on top of it. And what surprised me is the pegs that they put in are all plastic. And I'm thinking, now what's going to happen with those? Where are they going to go? Why would you put plastic pegs into something like that? When you could use a biodegradable, because you know what's going to end up. They're going to end up there. They're going to end up in the stream itself or whatever else. Just a comment on that.
Capture that.
Has anybody else got anything on discussion on this matter? Great.
Does the community board interested in having a position on Thursday as such? Do we accept elections?
I think we are. I think it's something worth doing, and something that I think I'd like us to discuss. On this. I don't think that we want to do it right now in this meeting, but I think we should have a discussion and maybe come back to that in the next meeting. I think it would be best. Happy with that? Perfect. Okay. So let's move on. The Kepe Community Centres, I'm personally quite interested to know what's happening with this one. I haven't heard anything for a while.
You just need to ensure, Mr Chair, that we are one of the partners in developing the community centre.
Yep. Stakeholders. Key
Yeah,
stakeholders.
Stakeholder.
Stakeholder, yeah. So
Stakeholder, yeah.
And is there any information on it, or what the status is, what's going on with that?
Oh, look, through you, Mr Chair, look, I'm not entirely sure. It has slowed down. Certainly with COVID and stuff. I mean, in terms of the update, they're exploring partnership opportunities. There's not a lot to report. It is obviously because it's on the Council Work Programme. When an update is ready, an update will be given to Council. What we do need to make sure of is that we don't update the community board before we actually update the council laws. But as soon as there's an update, there's certainly nothing on the work programme just yet that I've seen. That's not to say there isn't work happening, but when there's information available, we'll certainly let the community board know. And the message has been that the community board expects to be a key stakeholder in discussions on that sector. So we have recorded that, Kathy.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Excuse me, through you, Mr Chair. I can give a little update if you like.
Yeah, if you
I
like.
did get a little briefing a few months ago that there has been a person employed by council to specifically look after that project. There's been some other issues with regards to it. Yeah, just by some of what Mark was saying with regards to things. It has slowed down, so it's certainly worthwhile picking up. Eh? Yeah, which we'll do, I think, over the next little week or two. As well, and we'll get back as well.
Yes, that will
Just
be
put it
noted.
in where you've got up to.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue on. The skate park, McLean Park, the skate park, and everything else. Any update?
No, but I just think that the draft's going out for consultation during the school holidays, so it would be good as a community board if we had a presence down there and, ensure that all the skaters and skate park users had a look at it. And,
yeah, when's that going out?
I did read it somewhere.
November, December.
Yeah, December. The aim is the station, that's 2023. But I know the draft is contract design through December 22 and January 2023. The end of para 2, yeah. Bullet point 2. Last line.
Yeah.
So that's school holiday time, so there'll be lots of kids down there. We could have a chat with them.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I was going to say, is any vehicle for the schools to be involved as part of that consultation process? Is always teachers there that are keen on helping children submit.
Yeah, November, December. So.
Or no? Or not?
I think the skate shop.
Seaside Skate.
Seaside Skate are taking submissions for this, aren't they?
Harker Street.
Harker Street,
yeah.
so any submissions want to
They're
go
involved with the stakeholder group.
Yeah.
Because the primary schools don't close till like the 20th of December. I wonder if there's an opportunity to
get into the schools.
In the schools and see if through their assemblies or notice the
get a newsletter.
in the newsletter to get a link into the, because obviously what as many people either to know about it or be available to consultations and submit as possible.
Yeah.
Or those who are interested.
Yeah, that's right.
So how would that happen? Would
Well,
that be through the chair? Would that be through the staff?
Yeah, we can certainly pass that on. We'll talk to the relevant GM, just saying, this is matters under action for this community board. These are the suggestions. We'd like to get the schools involved. Is there a way? Can you sort of advise how?
Yep. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
Is it an appropriate time to talk about the possibility of another toilet block in McLean Park?
No.
Not now?
No.
Sweet.
Annual plan.
Annual plan?
Okay, great. Anybody else? Any other thing on this one?
Yeah, actually, through you, Mr Chair, Carl brings up quite a relevant point. Mark, perhaps you could clarify this. With regards to community boards putting a submission or feeding into the annual plan, this community board next meeting is in February.
That's correct.
And I'm under the impression that the annual plan is sort of underway potentially before then. Should the community board be looking at perhaps putting together a list of the things that it's interested in and presenting that to council as such? Is there a process for that?
So through you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Councillor. So the idea is to have an initial discussion on the annual plan with council on the 13th of December. We will certainly get a steer from council at that point. At the moment, councillors have been taken through an induction process. So our preference is on the 13th of December is to inform council where things are at, what options are available, are we consulting, are we not, are we inviting submissions from community boards. So until such time as the council has given us some feedback, our preference at this point is we'd rather let the induction program continue. So the reason why we're going on the 13th of December is there's a lot to take the new council through. And we would like a steer from the council as to how they would like to run the annual plan as well. Yeah, so the outcome of that will be communicated to community boards. So if there is an invitation for community boards to provide submissions and funding requests, we will make that widely known to community board members. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's move on. So items for board members to follow up. So the first one is this Paraparaumu Park, Central Park Development. Is there any comments or anything anyone would like to
Comment on anything, Mr. Chair? So I touched base with Marco very recently. It's my intent to look him up with the new mayor and the CEO with regards to conversations around that project. I have been informed that there is a town centre update planned for December. It might be delayed slightly, I don't know, this was a couple of months ago. I dare say it would be an opportunity, certainly as your local ward councillors, for us to look for a connection with council into that project, certainly through that process, I dare say. So we can certainly keep informed of that as we go moving forward. I've been a bit of an advocate for that, as you may not be aware, and very much looking forward to with the new council, new CE, new mayor, that there might be a bit more of a positive approach in that space. But I'll do a report back in February if you like.
I'm not on that one. I'm going to do the next three all in one.
Okay.
Okay, so the next three, the bus shelters, the parking areas and the beach bylaw, I thought if we just leave them sitting there and then for next year, and then as a board we can have further discussions on a way forward for those.
Yeah.
Does that sound all right?
That sounds good to me.
Yeah. I don't know anything about the Paraparaumu airport.
No, I don't think there's much for us on that one at the moment.
Paraparaumu Airport. So I'm well in the loop at the Paraparaumu Airport. I've been networking with the owners since they came to company, and involved with a few other groups that are there. So I'll keep us in the loop with that. And Martin's he's been keeping those in the airport stuff over. Yeah. So, yes, but there's not much. Nothing yet.
The disability beach access.
We leave that one there too until next year we can discuss. And the footpath 5 Donovan Road, so talk to that, and I'd like the board to discuss that as well. I spoke to and I've sent you all a copy, but I don't know that you all had your iPad, some of you No, so I've sent you all a copy. I spoke to the Otaki Kapiti Principals Association, all the schools. So I've sent the whole list to all the board members in the whole district to pick up the different schools in the areas. But I thought if we, so we need to have more discussion about it as a board before we
Would you both be a bit of background on that one, because I've been for Carl and myself, especially
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we probably could do a little bit.
Okay. I could try and be quick. About 3 or 4 months ago, when me Guru Nathan was the mayor, he was called down to Donovan Road, opposite the Kenna shops. Or we were right next, opposite number 5 Donovan Road, which was opposite Kenna shops. From Mrs. Shelley Tunbridge, who lived in Manly Street, and she initially wanted a footpath because all the young children from Paraparaumu North Beach going to Kenna school, they come through to Kupi Road and Manly Street, but when they walk from number 5 Donovan Road up to the pedestrian crossing to go safely across to Kenna school, there was no footpath there. So the initial request was for a footpath there, which council said there's no funding for. So that needs to be sorted out. But while we were waiting, we were on the south side on the footpath, right next to the exit gate or entry gate for Kenna, the big park, right next to the Kenna shops. And while we were waiting there, a bus pulled up at a bus stop down at Napotiki Street, on the corner of Napotiki and Kupi. And next minute, this young boy, be 9 or 10, and he races through the gate. He'd run from the school, right across the two fields, out through the gate, ran across the road. He was carrying his bag and his coat was dragging on the ground. Be 9, maybe? Then he had to run right down the road and then over to Kupi Road to get the bus waited for. And the bus was there before he even got through the gate. So it's like there also needs to be, the bus stop needs to be moved somehow because it doesn't go past the school, it goes down to Kupi Road. But it was just, this child ran across 2 roads that were busy. There was all cars lined up Donovan Road, there was vehicles coming in and out of Kenna shops. And here he had to run across these 2 busy roads. To me it was unsafe.
I mean that intersection, just going from the shops across there, I know exactly what you're saying. It's
but the children and all Donovan Road's parked up with vehicles from parents picking their children up from school. And we have young people trying to cross over, and they can't bike or scooter or walk because there's no footpath on the other side, on the north side. So then I got hold of Kenna school, who took it to the Principals Association, and I was invited to speak. So the idea was for all the schools to put all the issues in a big bundle, rather than picking off school by school. So they sent me the whole bundle through, and I thought, well, the best idea really is for the community boards in each area to pick up and have a chat to these schools and bring it maybe as Glenn O'Connor said it's a LTP or annual plan or something process. So it was easier for it was right, I think, the right thing to do for the local community boards and all taking Paikakariki to pick it up. Because I know Paikakariki hasn't got a pedestrian crossing at all or something by the school. So it would be easier for each area to pick up and talk to engage with their own primary schools. So that's how it all just snowballed from a lady in Manly Street ringing up and saying, we need a footpath.
That's awesome, I think. Well done.
So that's where it went. That's how it progressed. But it was so unsafe for this young kid to be, and I think they've got it on here, Kenna school. They state here, the public bus timetable for kids getting home doesn't suit school kids. They often miss it because it's around 3:05 and the next one is a while later. So kids were getting out of school at 3 and that's why he was running. And
that's not good planning, is it?
For cars coming, they just run because they see the bus. So it's all around safety for children getting to school, really.
Okay. Well, thank you, Kipper.
That's all right. Sorry, it was a bit long-winded.
No, that's all right. No, that's good because it's good to understand what that one was. Okay. So the next one on here is road safety concerns for board members to follow up. The first one is the conversation with trucking firms, the logging, with regards to speed, road safety, etc. And there was here.
That was Kotawa. Martin, these were your notes, weren't they?
I see that's
Sorry. Transport up stuff.
There was a meeting held with police, staff and a Kotawa residents around road safety up over the tracks and over Paving Street, but the police and staff and the residents were talking to each other around the issues, and the residents were monitoring what was happening where and contacting the police.
So with this one here, is there anything?
Do we need this still on?
Yeah, do we still need this on here?
Well, look, there's an interesting thing that's developed out of that. There was concern about logging trucks that were expressed. So up there in Mungatuks,
Yeah.
if they hadn't already started, they're due to start logging shortly. And there's quite a substantial amount of truck movement up and down Ruapehu Street. Now, we were at a council meeting, and Mike Alexander came in, and we were told by council officers at the hui that we had with the residents up there, that there weren't really much options or things that could be done with regards to that. They were going to look at, the police were going to keep an eye on things. There was concern about it. But what Mike alluded to, that in 2014, was it, Kathy? There was a report done with regards to slightly expanding Waterfall Road at a fairly nominal cost, and that would actually allow the logging trucks to go that way rather than down Ruapehu Street. Now, I don't know if anything came of that. Did you go out and have a chat with him at the time?
No, I did out there, but he had a report, but he said it would be easier.
So there's been a report done around that, and my apologies, I haven't followed through on that at all. I don't know if you want to, but it might be something to, perhaps something these councillors can sort of talk to the roading team about. I think I'll make a call to doing that.
But in the meantime, Glenn O'Connor on staff did email Kathleen at the police the times and the months and how many logging trucks were coming down, because the police were really interested to keep an eye on it. So
they were looking at putting cameras in there as well. That was one of the action points. Was looking at allocating some speed cameras up there and that sort of stuff, just to keep an eye on the trucks as well. But the police were going to sort that out and organise that.
So what?
So I was just thinking about Ruapehu Street. So the trucks come down Ruapehu past the school.
Yeah.
Yeah. My understanding, I thought it was either the quarry or a previous lot of logging. They made the route went past where the quarry is, rather than down to Ruapehu and then over the Roanots. They'd come down Valley Road, come down Valley Road, and then look along the road that goes down past
can't comment on that.
Quarry and Boat City. So that's another option where it's not going past the school.
Down Rahini.
Is that really?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, are you allowed to do a left turn?
No, it wouldn't be that far down. You're just hang a left.
No, so right turn onto Rahini.
Oh, okay.
Left on the Tongariro Road, and then left onto Hanema.
Right across the railway tracks.
Yeah, unless you stop onto the motorway down by Boat City.
Oh, they're going out that way.
Unless you go that way, which will keep you straight onto the main road without having to go through the school zone.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another option you have to think about. And the other thing is how long is the operation going for? Or is it going to be a cyclical thing, so it happens 1 year and 10 years later?
Yeah.
So it doesn't how long it's going to be going for, which would be good to talk to Glenn about.
Yeah, it's an ongoing. Yeah, it's ongoing, I think. But I think this initial one was for the next 3 months. I think it was ending by Christmas or something.
Yeah, might have to talk to Ben, see if we can reroute that rather than do Ruapehu Street past the school, and down that way it's coming along by the quarry.
Yeah, straight down Rahini.
Yeah, there's an option.
Does someone want to take it?
We can discuss it when we catch up sometime.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. There's one here. The next one just says information monitoring and reporting. Yeah.
We had a question mark on there.
Yeah.
I think it was Martin's.
Explain yourself, Mr. Howell.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. I'm sort of. What was it again?
Information and reporting.
That was the residents of a Kotawa. They were going to be monitoring, like someone said, there was speeding vehicles going past at a bus stop when students were waiting. And so the residents were monitoring what times of the day these cars were speeding. There's evidently a property up there somewhere that's well known to the police.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And were we expecting anything back on that?
No, because the police and the residents and they were all communicating with each other. We just organised a meeting to get those.
So do we need to keep this one on here? Is there any need to keep this on?
We could, no, I suppose.
I think it's worth keeping it on there, and we can follow that up.
We'll follow
up. If someone's going to
going.
follow it up, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and
But
see how
this
we
is
get
going to
on.
sit there.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it next time. But
Yeah.
what we can to help follow that up was one of our elected members, especially for looking at some traffic calming issues out there.
But you see that the principal of Kapari School, Paraparaumu School, said they've got the raised pedestrian crossing outside the school, but you know, they like going over it faster because they're whoo. So they use it as a you know. So you're thinking, you know, these big raised pedestrian crossings are good. They might be, but some young people like to speed up and, you know, go over them.
Yeah, if you can launch yourself off it, you go for it. If it's a smaller speed bump type thing, it's not going to give the same effect. It's just going to give you a nasty bump in the suspension.
Yeah.
So it's food for thought.
Yeah, but he's seen cars going over it faster than.
Okay, great. Okay, but we'll leave that in now. Okay.
Double L. No?
Potential.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. See, I knew what I'd done.
Oh yeah, that all of those are all with.
Oh, those are all the same.
All in Kotawa. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The police and the residents are working on. Yeah.
Oh, so the next.
Shall we know more?
Yeah.
Go down.
Was that also the street light?
Yeah, that's all.
No. See.
Fantastic.
So, just because speed and Tana are rude, and just the means and direction of the old PRCB, there were a whole lot of items that pertain to Rami, and so they just transferred to your matters and direction, just for you to consider them, and you can delete them or add to it or whatever. So we did transfer them across to yourselves to consider at your board meeting.
We'll just give them to Mark. Just let you know that there's a bill attached to those as well. So we'll take that out of your issue.
Tom's has got a whole heap. How many Tom's? You've got a whole list, Tom has.
I've got loads, yeah, I've got loads of these. This time.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, moving on. So there's no public excluded meetings to be confirmed? So
now again.
Yeah.
I say now.
Yeah, so at this point, I'd like to thank everybody. We'll close the meeting.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I believe, Carl, you would like to do a karaoke?
Yeah, let's close with the karaoke. Does anybody else want to have a karaoke?
Off you.
Okay, so kia ora everybody, let's close with the karaoke tonight. Kia tau kia tātou katoa, te ata whāta tātou araki, o ihu karaiti, me te aroha te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga, ki te wairua tapu. I just note 9:10 is a blood red moon tonight, if anybody's keen to have a look.
10:09?
9:10.
Oh, really?
Okay, so thank you everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Meeting done. Thank you very much.
He's like, what do you want?
Cool, man.
So concentrated on the minutes, Carl. Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know the stuff, like you just
I have to figure out tomorrow how do we clean up this mess of having the resolution
so
up
we'll
here and not down there, even though it was discussed up there. But
so we'll work through it, and we'll just move the item up, and then once you do that, it will say exactly an earlier
I
part of the
remember
minutes.
that. I think I just need to know so I don't mess it up.
No, we'll go through it tomorrow.
But I think I've got everything.
Yeah. Oh, stop here again. Stop here.